Getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning from wherever you are watching. Welcome to Slow Motion Broadcasting for the penultimate race of the XSLR season number 9, round 15. Of course, in GT3 cars tonight, we are at Phillip Island Circuit, one of the most interesting circuits. This 2.7 mile MotoGP track, you could call it, is going to be playing host to some great GT3 action here tonight. What makes this track very interesting? High-speed sweeper corners on both turns 1, 2, and of course that final very dangerous 12th turn around here. One of the more difficult circuits, I would say, in a GT3 car, because of course the hardest corner to master is going to be turn number 10, going into turn number 10. That's a blind crest. And there's a spin up there. Well, good luck trying to avoid it, because you will not see it coming until the very last moment. Right now in the championship battle, Adam Thomsen did announce last week that Jake Ham was the champion, but we have to make a correction. Jake Ham is not here tonight. So that means the championship is still alive and well going into Bathurst next week. And as we are starting qualifying here, of course, we have 9 drivers registered for tonight's race, as we are taking a look at the 215 of Michelle Lynn, who has had a decent run here in the GT3 car, driving the McLaren. And here is that blind crest I was talking about. You literally have no time to react to anything there, and it's very, very difficult to brake, as it is a very steep downhill slope. And here she goes to the final corner here. This is turn 12, and of course you got to get up the speed through here. If you are not in 5th gear by this point, you are already off the pace. And we'll take an onboard shot of Michelle Lynn going down into turn number 1. You can tell she is right there, hits the apex exactly perfect. Good speed through the corner, keeping in that car in 6th gear. Gets heavy on the brakes because this next set of corners, turn 2, you're a little bit slower, but you're going to have a very high speed exit. Now a pretty long straightaway through turns 3. When these tires get warmed up, actually even now you can take them flat, but now a heavy braking zone into turn 4, Miller's corner. Get down, get that car slowed down, and now you have a very tight complex of turn 6. One of the hardest parts about this track is passing. It is not the easiest track to pass on, especially through turns 3, 4, 5, and 6. You have to be in a position side by side with the car you are attempting to overtake prior to the corner. Now here's that very dangerous turn number 10. Again, you got to get that car slowed down. You may feel the tires start to skid a little bit as you're going downhill, and then back into the throttle through turn 11. Get a nice little straightaway, and then into turn number 12. And you've got to have some really good speed as Brad Cathcart puts up the first lap time of the evening. A 128.145. Matt Last 1.4 seconds off the pace. And Michelle Lynn 129.686. Tyler Brown, quick time with a 127.930. I'm Adam Thomsen. I forgot to introduce ourselves at the beginning of the broadcast. Adam Thomsen here in the broadcast booth, along with me, doing all the camera work, the production work, and also commentating a little bit tonight.
Hey,
is Joshua Wilkie. Glad to have you back here, Josh, for this penultimate race of the XSLR season.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this place for sure. It's too bad I wasn't around last weekend, but a great race for sure. Yeah, I love this place. You kind of nailed it there in the run-up. It's a really fast, sweepy course, really difficult to pass, but super fun to drive around. And there's definitely a few corners that have quite a bit of character as well. That blind one you're mentioning, as well as I believe we've got a few names for corners out here as well. Doohan corner, of course, total legend there. Lurkey Heights, I believe they call it, is a very difficult little section to get right. Super blind. It's getting a little bit kind of dancing on the pedals around it, kind of wondering how you're going to get the power down and where to turn in. It's a bit of a difficult one, but I think we're going to have a pretty close race around here. We were talking about on the run-up as well, Adam. I think we should be seeing some relatively close times.
Well, Brad Cathcart now goes quick time with a 127.294 as we watch Tyler Brown cross the line, and he goes even faster with a 126.780. Derek Folk put up a time of a 127.7. This is the lowest he has qualified so far in the GT3. He has won the last 2 races here at XSLR, and he needs to find some lap time rather quickly here around Phillip Island. Another reason why I talk about this circuit being a motorcycle MotoGP track is that MotoGP does race here at Phillip Island, and it's kind of an interesting race. You get this nice little cross breeze going through there as Derek Volk goes quick time with a 126.641. He is absolutely crushing it. Only a few thousandths. Is that right? Yeah. 3 thousandths of a second quicker than Chad Gross. Wow, what a lap time there by Derek Volk. That is tight
Just
racing.
They were going to be close. It wasn't really. I didn't think it was going to be quite that close. And then even behind that, Tyler Brown, not too far behind as well. You really got to nail the lines around here to get a solo lap really fast. And I think we're probably going to see them get faster and faster as the night goes on here.
And it's a wide track. Again, MotoGP tracks generally race on wider tracks. You look at Qatar, you look at Phillip Island, they generally race on wider surfaces. Because it allows for more side-by-side racing. You get a slipstream, you can get around the person, and you have the space to get around them. Now, last year during the MotoGP race, there was this heavy crosswind that was causing a lot of the riders to actually having to get ready and start turning well before the actual corner itself. And it was kind of interesting because they had, it's a 2-wheel vehicle. They're, exposed to the elements as the riders go through here. And it was actually really freaky. If you turned in too late, you were actually wrecking the bike. That's how crazy this place can get. I'm not sure what the wind situation is for tonight, because that could also play a part of how this race goes.
Exactly.
The wind is coming
how
from
the
the
wind
east.
is going to be. It's coming from the east and should be. I don't think it was super strong. I did actually check it beforehand, but I'm not seeing my weather widget at the moment here. As soon as I can find that, I'll pop it up for us, and we should be able to actually get a read on kind of how the wind is. But that's a good point around here for sure. The wideness actually can kind of work against you a little bit sometimes. Remember when I was first learning this place, it's just a little bit difficult to find a line every once in a while. It feels like, where is that line out there, basically, and how do I link these corners together? And it takes a little bit to learn a wider track like that. But really good point on the kind of MotoGP style sort of track there for sure.
Yeah, it's and I watched that race last year, and it was just so interesting to see how the riders actually navigated through here. Now, granted, you're going to take it a little bit differently in a GT3 car, but those cars are still very aero sensitive. Not as much as a MotoGP bike or anything like that, but if you get, the winds right now I see is about 11 miles per hour out of the east. So, it's a crosswind. But it's not like a terrible crosswind or anything like that. So that is a good sign. There's the weather widget there, so you can see 11 miles per hour. So not a very big wind, but that's one of the major factors about this circuit. Now the circuit doesn't have a very big elevation change to it. Actually, the real difference in elevation is that run up from 6 all the way through turn 9 at the crest there, and then you're back down the hill. Now, it's not like Bathurst or anything like that, which goes clear up in a mountain, or like Road Atlanta, where you go through turn 1 and go up a hill, and then you come back down a hill. It's almost, I think it's like not even 100-foot difference. That's how much of a difference, like how flat it is around Phillip Island. As Derek Folk still remaining on the pole position here with less than 30 seconds to go. Chad Gross trying to find those 3,000 of a second, and he's not going to get it. He pulls into the pit. So another interesting characteristic about this racetrack is where the pit lane entry is. It's between turns 11 and 12. It's actually a really early entrance compared to a lot of tracks that we have raced at over the course of XSLR. Of course, the ovals have where their pit entry is, and of course, Dirt Oval, we didn't have that those pits, neither with the Lucas Pro trucks, but this is quite an early pit entry. And there we go, qualifying all said and done. And let's get ready for tonight's race around Phillip Island. On the pole position for his third consecutive race in a row, it's the 78 of Derek Folk, and starting on his outside, it's the 28 of Chad Gross. Row 2 on the inside, the 821 of Tyler Brown, and starting fourth on the outside of row 2, the 905 of Brad Cathcart. This is a home race for him. Row number 3, the number 50 of Andy Kosick, and on his outside, the 215 of Michelle Lynn. Row 4, Matt Lass in the number 98, and Jason Greider in the 552, starting in the 8th spot. Final starter here tonight, the 021 of Charles Bochelle, or some of you may know him as Slow Trickle, who was on the broadcast with me not too long ago for the USRA Independence 400 on the Thursday before the 4th of July. So good to see him out racing. We'll do one pace lap around this 2.7 mile circuit, and we are going to go racing for the penultimate race, round 15 of the XSLR season number 9. But yeah, we have a local in the house tonight. Josh, Brad Cathcart, our resident Aussie.
He's kind of a resident driver in a few of the SM series here. We broadcast on SMB with the Weekend Warriors, of course, on the weekends, and he's in the FS and the SRFs often. Even does the FVs every once in a while as well. So it's great to see him out here for sure. And yeah, this will be a home race for him. Hopefully, he'll have some pace tonight. Really nice looking livery on that thing tonight too. Wow.
And the only thing I can't verifiably say, but he is probably the only person who is driving in this that has ever probably seen this circuit in person.
Yep, definitely I haven't, that's for sure. And I would imagine you're probably right there. I'm looking at a sea of American flags around him and a lot of Mustangs out there tonight, I should add as well. You can see them warming up their tires here as much as possible. It seems to have become a thing again in iRacing lately, especially something we should mention with the GT3 tires changing in the last little while as well. I had a chance to get them out a little bit, not a bunch. I haven't really, certainly not an expert in these cars, nor am I a GT3 tire expert at all, but they did feel like they were a little bit more, you want to say compliant, maybe a little more compliant, a little bit less spiky on the heat side of things. You had a chance to get out there in the middle?
I have not been able to get in a GT3 lately. I've been doing a lot more oval racing on iRacing, of course, as it is that prime season, and of course driving the Porsche GTP during the Daytona 24-hour prior to that model update, and then attempting to go around Sebring after the tire model update, and went, nope, I will crash somebody until I've had more testing time. So, but yeah, no, one thing you mentioned, a lot of Ford Mustangs. This is a change that we've seen here for this week. We saw a lot of McLarens. Pace car is pulled off. We're going through turn number 12 here at Phillip Island. Derek Folk will go ahead and take the green flag, and away we go here at Phillip Island for the XSLR round number 15. Good start there by Derek Folk. Gets in front of Chad Gross going into turn 1. Will take a wide entry into turn 1, getting a high-speed corner through turn 1. Now they got to slow it up into turn 2. Everybody's single file still, but some people getting a little wide, and there goes Andy Kosick getting a little wide as Michelle Lynn will take that inside line with the door wide open there by Andy Kosick. But Derek Folk leading the charge all the way down into turn 4. Got to slow her up. Does a nice job. It's a double apex turn. And then, of course, going into turn 5, that's where things get a little dicey as well, because it's still not a very fast corner. We got 30 laps on the board here, where this is the opening lap of round 15 of XSLR. See Derek Folk now looking back at Andy Kosick, who has dropped down 1 spot here. Matt Last trying to find a little bit of pace, as he is the only driver in a Lamborghini. And Andy Kosick, he gets a little bit loose and slides. Wow, he saved it, but loses not 1, but 2 spots there. Now is down 3 positions here on the opening lap here at Phillip Island. Derek Folk now will come across the line. He will lead the first lap here at Phillip Island. Andy Kosick's got to figure out a way to get back into this one. And the opening lap times coming in, of course, those are not very representative of what we're going to see throughout this race. We can go ahead and flip those over to the intervals. There we go. And there it is. 0.8 of a second separating Derek Folk and Chad Gross, but Tyler Brown only less than a half a second away from Chad Gross. And so he is within that slipstream that these cars can give off. But it's 3 Ford Mustangs at the front of this field, in front of 2 McLarens, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, another McLaren, and of course, Charles Bochelle running in that 9th spot, running a Ford Mustang.
Yeah, pretty clean start so far here. Let's see if I can come back and see what happened to Andy Kosick there. Got hung out to dry kind of twice by the looks of it. That one time, it looks like he kind of understeered a little bit and was able to kind of open up the inside there for some other drivers, and then got pushed wide potentially. Again, not an easy place to judge right on the first few laps, I would think, on cold tires as well. And yeah, all the Mustangs out front here doing really well so far. You would think this place would be pretty punishing for the Mustangs' front tires around a lot of this place. Fairly evenly though, I think. We have a fairly even punishing on both tires. You're not going to wear just one out, but punishing nonetheless.
Yeah, the front engine cars, obviously that extra weight at the front of these cars will cause a little bit more wear than probably the McLaren and the Lamborghini. But if you tire manage a little bit, you can. And oh man, again, we are going to be watching these attempted overtakes around Phillip Island. That's going to be, it's one of the toughest things to do, actually, just because of the nature of the track. It's very, very fast, comparable to, you would say, like a Road Atlanta. A Road Atlanta, you can pass, actually, there's a couple different passing zones. Same with Suzuka that we saw here a couple weeks ago. But Suzuka is much harder to pass at than Road Atlanta, and I would say this is much of the same. You gotta set it up. You gotta get alongside the car you're trying to overtake well prior into turn number 4, pretty much. That's really your only opportunity. You can try and overtake somebody before turn 10, but you're asking for a lot of trouble there. If you try and overtake somebody at turn 4, you should be able to get it done, but it's really difficult just because turns 1 and 2 are more of a medium to high speed corner, and then of course the long straightaway through turn 3 and into 4. So you have to really set it up. You gotta kind of hope for the guy to make a little bit of a mistake as well.
Yeah, I think that's key around here for sure, is just applying pressure and maybe trying to wedge somebody a little bit, get a nose in there. T1 can sometimes, you can set something up through there if you can get a good draft down the front. Maybe not such a big deal in these cars. Not going to see as much of that as some other series we drive in around here, but yeah, I think you got it pretty right there. T4, that and trying to just lay some pressure on somebody and hope that they crack somewhere, and then you can kind of make a pass happen anywhere, but not an easy place to pass around for sure.
Well, Chad Gross trying to apply the pressure on Derek Folk has lost just a little bit of time, but still under a second. And Tyler Brown has lost a bit of time, and that's probably because he's trying to make a move and trying to put on the pressure. It's very difficult. One of my rememberable experiences driving a GT3 car around Phillip Island was I tried to pull a dummy on somebody into turn 4. It didn't work. It did not work. I ended up crashing us both out. And that's just because I was getting really frustrated because I was faster than the guy in front of me, But because of the nature of this track and how difficult it is to pass around here, I had to stay behind the guy, and I just kept getting frustrated because I couldn't make a move stick. And anything I tried to go down the inside, couldn't quite get alongside him, tried to go around the outside, couldn't quite get around him. And finally I was like, I got to try something. Tried to pull a dummy, thought I had pulled it because he moved just a little bit. The guy I was trying to overtake just moved, and I figured, okay, I made this work. And then I tried to go around the outside. He didn't move really all that much. I went right into the back of him, took us both out. And obviously I had a very angry worded chat message from him, and I did apologize. Said, look, I thought I pulled off the dummy. I saw you move. That's my fault. You know, you didn't deserve that. I was just getting really frustrated being behind you and just trying to get around you.
Well, at least you sent a message, right? You know, that's the worst when it's really easy for tensions to flare online. I'm sure we've all been there. You know, we've all been in helmet head, and you're super angry, and you're thinking you're sort of telegraphing or inner monologuing maybe what the other person was thinking before they did it, and it's really easy to get angry. It's always nice to just try to shoot somebody a message, and man, does it ever work. Is it ever the best diffuser ever to just get a message that says, hey, sorry about that, and you can turn all of those mental pictures off and just get on with your day. Because iRacing can be frustrating sometimes. Holy cow.
And that was one of those frustrating races because we were running in the top 3, running really comfortably well. You know, I was in a comfortable 3rd place, but I was trying to get by him because I knew I had the pace on the leader of the race, and all I had to do was just get by 2nd. I just could not get by him, and it was absolutely frustrating. But that's a lot of MotoGP motorcycle racetracks. They're more of this style. You look at Qatar, for example. You can't really pass in a normal sports car. It's really difficult to pass in a Formula 1 car, as we've been in the past there. But you know what can pass? Motorcycle. Motorcycles can pass each other very easily, but because of the slipstreams that those give off and everything, you see it a lot. As we're taking an aerial view from the helicopter from Brad Cathcart, the only local in the field here in Australia. That's where Phillip Island is based out of, in case you were not aware where Phillip Island is. It's based in Australia. They have, you know, it's nice that we're getting 2 back-to-back Australian racetracks, and 2 that are very different.
Very, very different for sure. The next one, Panorama, is one of my favorite tracks for sure. Really like driving around there. It's oddly enough, you know, you practice around there so much to stay off the walls, and it's so difficult that you sort of become a panorama specialist, and it ends up being a place that I can drive around pretty comfortably now. It's sort of like the Nürburgring, where I struggle at some other bigger tracks like this because there's so many lines out there. If you give me a well-defined, maybe I'm just a better street track driver, but really good point to bring up there as well with the motorcycle tracks. I think it's just the nature of a motorcycle that the corners need to be a little bit more flowing and long and elongated. Whereas you get a little bit better racing with cars if you have a little more stop-starty, at least a few moments on the track or something that sort of disrupts that flow a little bit. You don't see in bike racing or in MotoGP quite as much, but when it meshes just right, places like Mugello and a couple others I can't name at the moment, or I can't think of at the moment, man, is it ever fun. This one, you know, this one's another one. So fun to drive around on 4 wheels as well.
Well, now the battle for the lead is back on here. Let's take a look at Derek Folk having to defend from Chad Gross here. There it is. Yep, there's that frustration. There's that. You can see Chad Gross. He knows he could get by him, but it's just so difficult. Derek Folk is just defending really well, and all he's doing is just taking the normal racing line, and that's all he has to do to maintain that spot. I wonder if Derek Folk had a slight slip up that has brought these 3 Mustangs back together here. As you can see, Brad Cathcart, he's just chilling in the background there. Kind of hoping that these guys kind of get a little frustrated with each other, maybe makes a mistake, maybe what I did here in a GT3 race and just going to the back of somebody. I don't know. But he is keeping up with this group. He's keeping them within eye view. So
We're gonna
let's
pass
see
here
here.
from Andy Cossack, I believe, by Jason
Oh.
Grider. Looks like he actually took an off track there, so I'll have to figure out that
Yeah.
gorgeous Ferrari out in the grass. Never a good sign.
Yeah, that's another tough part about this place. Because you're not getting those. The brakes are not. They're not staying
Ooh.
quite as warm. Oh, he just went downhill way too fast. Tried to get on the brakes a little bit too late. And that's the thing. You got to know there's not. The braking point on the hill is actually really difficult to kind of figure out because there isn't really any signs. You see the signs, but there's one.
Ooh, yeah.
There's one sign that tells you where the
Yeah.
braking point is.
You gotta kind of gather it up there too. You're sort of coming over the hill and transitioning weight of the car, sort of waiting for it to settle before you can get on the brakes. If you don't get that corner just right, and it's like maybe he was sort of, and it's like you said, very difficult to just eyeball in where exactly you're gonna start getting on the brake there too, and it's downhill, so you got a lot of things working against you on that one. And it looks like it caught Jason Grider out. Unfortunately, he's gonna have some ground to make up, but a few places caught up by Andy Cossack there now.
One of the things that I have when I was learning this track is on that hill. As soon as I get to the crest, I am off the throttle. You got to get that engine braking to help you out. And if you get that engine braking to help you out a little bit, it makes the braking on that downhill a little bit better, a little bit nicer, a little bit smoother. It isn't the fastest, but a stable car is a fast car. If you're
well said.
braking and you are unstable, you are not. You are going to lose a ton of time.
It actually does depend a
especially-
little. I actually sometimes you're right. Unstable's never good. Like the actual literal sense unstable, but a little bit of instability, I kind of like just to be able to get the rear end out a bit. But I totally understand your point there for sure. I would have to say that's true. Getting pretty spread out here now. Looking like
things.
times are kind of starting to settle in time-wise, and see if again you're gonna have to start pressuring the people in front of you and so on, or perhaps you just lose a little bit of concentration and go off the track too. Really easy to do at a place like this.
And we have a pass. Tyler Brown getting around Chad Gross. As Chad Gross has had an off track and he falls down to fourth.
Perhaps right as I was
I think I
speaking
know what
about-
happened. Yep.
Oh, right as I was saying, lose a little bit of concentration. There it is. See if I can get you on board here.
Yeah, Chad Gross sliding off the track and has lost 2 spots. Let's see. Yeah, he's just trying to keep up with Derek Folk there.
Yeah.
Doing everything he can because again, you've got to get that run down that straightaway from turn 2 all the way to turn 4, and he just put a little bit too much speed through there. Now
Cathcart going to monopolize
Chad
on
Gross-
that one though, so he's got a bit of a he's got a fight on his hands now. I was going to mention, as we see Tyler Brown
Whoa.
facing backwards there, right by pit entry. Sorry.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
What has happened there? Now Brad
Falling apart.
Cathcart's going to have to defend a little bit here as Chad Gross had a good run, but is not going to get there in the turn 1. Thought about it for just a moment, and Cathcart, he's going to be happy with this. As
Chad Gross
Chad Gross goes off the track again. He goes off the track again.
Big
And
mistake.
now, again, just pushing too hard. He's trying. But that's what this track can do to you.
Yeah.
You're stuck behind somebody. You're going, I know I'm faster than them. I know I can get by them. Question is, what can I do? Let's take a look here. What happened to Tyler Brown? Tyler Brown.
Ooh, on the power.
Yeah, probably a little bit too
Interesting.
much steering angle is what I'm having to guess.
I wonder what the TC setting is on there, if he's trying to play with that to catch up to the car in front of him, or we'll see if we can't get on board with him. It looked like he spun it up. You could be right there. A little bit too much angle, and maybe the diff's a little open, but yep, definitely lost the rear end there, though. It's a little surprising.
Well, guess what? We may have an Aussie on the podium tonight.
Yeah, he's got the hometown mojo for sure.
Yeah. And see, that's, he was just hanging about, just waiting for something to happen, and finally something does, and he went from 4th to 2nd in just a matter of a lap. And he is going to be happy. He's going to be elated about this. We haven't been able to talk to him all season long. He has not had the easiest of seasons here at XSLR. And let's take a look. Here's the onboard of what happened with Chad Gross. Yeah, he was just putting way too much speed into that car, trying to stay on the back bumper of Cathcart. It just went off, and that allows some space between Cathcart and Gross. Now let's take a look at an onboard to turns 11 and 12. Yep.
Maybe some curve.
Too much angle.
Yeah. Too much angle, a little curve. Yeah. Oh, and then it was good job to kind of let it roll backwards. Usually you kind of want to just stomp the brake there, but I think he sort of saw that coming and let it roll backwards, so no foul there.
All right, now Chad Gross. I hate to tell you this, man, but don't put your front bumper into the rear end of Brad Cathcart here. Okay, you will be enemy number 1 if you do that. And we will not let it down here on the broadcast either. We will make fun of you.
Yeah, you don't want that big Ford front end in the back of a McLaren, because it's not going to, I would imagine the Ford's going to win that one out for sure. But I think maybe he's learned his lesson there, coming over a little bit less aggressive maybe on the brakes. It's all about exit here anyway. You're not really going to get anybody on entry around here. Perhaps if you can force a bit of a mistake, but you're going to want to try to get a good exit that leads to a pass down a straight or something around here most of the time.
And really the only decent passing zone is in the turn 4. And the way you set that up is that you get that slipstream down. Right now I would say Chad Gross is still pretty far back trying to make a move. If he does, it's really going to be a dive bomb. Not the easiest of moves. Yep, and he's just on the brakes a little bit later than Cathcart. But again, the exit speed of Cathcart here is going to be helping him out. And going into these slow corners, Cathcart, I hope he's not looking in his rearview mirror. You just got to keep those eyes straight ahead in order to keep it in front of Chad Gross. You start looking in your mirrors around here, you are going to make a mistake. Because right now, the car that is leading or in front is always going to have an advantage. That's kind of one of the things about Phillip Island. If you're behind somebody, you are at a massive disadvantage. So you just have to be patient and just hope that the guy in front of you makes a mistake. That's really it.
Definitely. It's really about that and trying to set something up. Just really being patient, especially if you have a bit of a pace differential there. It's about getting that drag race that you need at the right moment, like setting up T4, like you said. You need to think of your whole lap about setting up T4 basically, or push a mistake or something here as well. But Brad doing a good job. He races in the Weekend Warriors SRF series, and it looks like we got a bit of dust there in the air. I'm not sure who went off there. It looks like Charles Bochelle. Perhaps we'll get a replay of that. But he's used to pressure for sure, Brad. He's the SRFs just got cars around you all the time, and he's used to stuff like that. So I wouldn't imagine this is bothering him too much. Oh, his wipers. He's trying everything here. Driver is trying everything when the wipers go on. You must deploy all things you can, and we'll see what he can do here.
Well, Derek Volk leading by over 5 seconds now over Brad Cathcart. We will see pit stops here. I would imagine those pit stops will be coming in the next few laps, as it is a 45% fuel tank. So we're almost at that halfway point here, if I had to guess. Yes, the 45 fuel tank still in effect for this race. And I would imagine, yep, there we go. First pit stop for Charles Bochelle. Unless he's coming in for damage repair, which it doesn't appear to be. Hey, get off the wall, Charles.
Well, I was going to say maybe he did have some damage, but no, I think he just nicked the wall there. I was like, oh, shoot, maybe he lost a... Nope, but he's all right. Oh, missed his box a bit. What a gorgeous paint job on that thing, by the way. The front end of just amazingly nice-looking car.
And Andy Kosick is now into the pits as well. Take a look at these two pit stops. It's only going to be fuel only. At the tires will last till the end of the race, and Charles Bochelle will get his fuel topped off, and away he goes. And out of the pit lane. So Charles Bochelle on his way out. He is a lap down, as well as I bet Charles Bochelle got a penalty.
I don't think he took the right on the way out.
Did he take the right pit exit there? I think he...
Really easy to cut the pit exit line here, for sure, on the way out. It's actually kind of easy to do it on the way in, like you're saying. It seems like an easy pit entrance. Maybe not easy to cut it there, but very easy to overspeed it. So, yeah, again, if you don't practice those easy pit entrances or some... Oh, as we're getting Brad Cathcart coming in here, I thought we were going to see a pass there for a moment. We'll get a good shot here of just this pit entrance as well. Getting it woed up real easy there. Doesn't want to make a mistake. Nice, easy one for Brad Cathcart. And you can see that difference there on those pit stops. 44 overall to 48 overall for Charles. So missing that box definitely costing him.
Well, we'll see what the pit stop time here is for Brad Cathcart, as Chad Gross will be finally happy to see Cathcart in the pit lane and can get a little bit of clean air going for him and try and push his advantage out and see if he can actually perform what we would call the undercut around Brad Cathcart. And away he goes. Good pit stop, 45.4. So, okay. All right. So it's just Andy Kosick who actually took the wrong pit exit, actually. He went the long way. He took, I don't even know what part of the track. You'll see it. There's a slight little runoff road right there, and I think Andy Kosick
did he cut into there? And did he really? I didn't notice that actually. We should probably go back and try to get a look at that. But yeah, that wouldn't be the fastest way out of the pit for sure. You saw Brad Cathcart getting a really good exit there, and Matt Lass. A bit of a long stop there for Matt Lass. He's in the box. I'm not sure if that's he took a little bit too much fuel perhaps or something, but pretty even pit stops for everybody, mostly clean except for maybe a bit of an inventive exit perhaps. Maybe we can get a look at that.
Tyler Brown just trying to work his way by Michelle Lynn at this point after his spin. Looking here, Tyler Brown, has he pitted yet? No, he has not. So right now, Brad Cathcart just trying to find a way by Michelle Lynn, but again, that car in front of you can cause a little bit of issue here. Here's Andy Kosick. Let's look at what he did here.
Oh,
got
he
confused.
Did.
Went down the. He went down the wrong
once
way.
you're
That's
in there,
you're
in there.
Wait a minute. This doesn't seem right.
You lose a bunch of time. It was a bit of a rodeo to get out, so yeah, I don't think he lost too much time there. Actually handled that fairly well, but I wonder if he knows that was the wrong way.
If he doesn't, he will find out after.
He's gonna find out after. Yeah.
Hey, you're supposed to go right, not left.
They took the long way a bit there, but it didn't look like it hurt him too bad.
Took the scenic route.
Yeah, a little extra on the track tonight. So yeah, hopefully that won't help him or hurt him fuel-wise. No, I think he'll be fine. Speaking of which, yeah, who do we have in so far here? So we got Derek Folk and Chad Gross just coming in right now.
This is go time for Brad Cathcart. Can he get by Chad Gross while he's sitting in the pits? Derek Folk will get into his stall first. And everybody else comes down pit lane who has not pitted yet, with Michelle Lynn and Tyler Brown. This is going to be close here. Brad Cathcart. Can he find a way to get by Chad Gross? Derek Folk is on his way. Where is Cathcart at? That's going to be the real question. Yes, Chad Gross, he is going to get out before Cathcart.
Yep, he cleared him
And
no problem there. So he put some must have put some laps in there before. A little bit quicker pace than Brad tonight. So, you know, without those mistakes he was making, kind of trying to push a little too hard tonight, I think, Chad Gross. You can see the car kind of wiggling around and really forcing entries by the looks of it, is what I noticed earlier. Brad out here just putting on a clinic kind of for consistency. So we'll see if he makes another mistake here and if maybe he wears his tires out. But I think Chad probably has the overall pace.
Well, now Andy Kosick has caught up to Tyler Brown now due to Tyler Brown pitting, which is good. Andy Kosick back up to his starting position here where he qualified tonight. And now Tyler Brown in that Mustang, he's got clean air. He's gone around Michelle Lynn, so now he has the advantage over Andy Kosick, I would say, at this point. Looking at pit times here, the longest one being Jason Ryder of 49.2, and Charles Bushell has retired from this one.
Well, having a rough night there. This place, you know, the GT3 cars, the front end on these things, I don't know how they're driving, honestly, the Mustang around like this. Every time I've gone out on a track like this in GT3s, I just end up blowing my fronts off, as we see Tyler Brown getting pretty close to the edge of the track there on exit. Not too much of a big deal there, but yeah, unfortunately Charles looks like he's out for the night.
We're on lap 19 of 30s, 12 laps to go. Lap time still remaining in that 126, 127 area. So that's good. Let's take a look here. Andy Kosick getting around Michelle Lynn. Oh, and did Tyler Brown do the same thing that Andy Kosick did?
We can find out. Let's see.
I want to find that out because now we got to give these guys lessons.
We have a double Tyler Brown left pits here. So let's click the first one. Okay, so maybe it just gives me did he hit perhaps 2 lines here? Yep. He went the wrong.
All right. Time to go to driver's ed score around Phillip Island, guys.
Okay, well, we might have to time them out. You know, we might have to time them out. Maybe this one's actually got a better shot into that corner, actually. Interesting. Might have to remember that next time I'm here. I might have to try that pit exit.
Now it's time for driver's education about how to take the pit exit around Phillip Island.
Yeah, we can definitely see who practiced pit entry and exit tonight. Didn't seem to hurt them. A little surprised, actually, that you're able to miss pit exit that badly and not get a penalty from it. But I guess you're across the line, and yeah, interesting.
Well, Derek Falk now leading by 6.4 seconds over Chad Gross. Brad Cathcart looking for his first podium of the season. Oh man, what a podium this would be. I think there'll be a big old smile on his face because he's not had the greatest of seasons. He'll probably admit to that. Definitely because of just, he's not a dirt track racer. Had some real struggles in dirt track. I think he had more flips than anybody during the first 4 weeks.
So long ago
season.
Now, I almost forgot we were on dirt so long ago. These guys have been through the ringer here, and girls as well. There, Michelle Lynn been through all of these races. I think she pretty much hit every single one of them as well here. So yeah, pretty awesome. And it looks like you're right. He might get his first podium tonight in that gorgeous, just show car looking livery. I love that Weekend Warriors brow on the windshield there. Looks awesome on the McLaren. Wow, what a nice livery.
So we got now 10 laps to go. And I hate to, and I'm going to be the bearer of bad news for Brad Cathcart. Him being an Aussie, most likely is a Aussie cricket fan. They're playing the West Indies tonight in Jamaica. which, to be honest, I kind of wish I was in Jamaica.
Who doesn't?
And it's not going well for Australia right now. It's not going quite well for them tonight. So I'll have to break the bad news to him. Maybe he's not a cricket fan. Maybe he won't care, but he's an Aussie, so he might care a little bit. What's happened here to Matt Laz?
I thought we had a
Going
pass
down
here,
the
but I
front.
think this is just passing in the pit lane here. So that was him just gaining a position. Not doing too bad tonight in the Lamborghini. You don't see that car on track too often. It's too bad. It's a beautiful car, absolutely beautiful car, really nice package. But
Why
yeah,
drive the
just-
Lambo when you can drive the
don't see
Audi?
it out there. Yeah, you really like that Audi. I mean, it's true. They are the same car. I mean, to be fair, if I was gonna buy a car, I would probably buy the Lamborghini just for the look and the, maybe not that particular Lamborghini, but a Lamborghini, just the stigma of it. You know, I had a picture of a Lamborghini on my, or poster on my wall when I was a kid. Not too many Audis back then. Although, you know, if I could own any car, it would probably be an old Audi, one of those Audi rally cars or something like that. Yeah, an S4 maybe,
Like
or
a
something.
Quattro.
Yeah, one of the old Quattros, like one of those boxy Quattros, all done up. $200,000, $400,000 car now, but what a beautiful machine. I love those things. Anyway, that was a little off topic.
Well, there's not much to talk about on the racetrack.
Yeah, pretty smooth
Chad
sailing
Gross
here.
Chad Gross is slightly cutting the gap. He has gained just over a second on to Derek Phillip, but Derek Phillip looking to be the third person to win 3 races in a row in a single series. Again, you're not sure how XSLR works. The way that it works is that we started this back in February. That's how long ago this started. We started on dirt oval in the 410 wing sprint car. We did that for 4 weeks. Then we moved on to the Lucas Oil Pro 4 truck to do some off-road racing. Then after that, we did 4 weeks of the 87 Cup car, the 87 NASCAR Cup car, I should say, around select tracks. And then now we're wrapping up the season with series number 4 with the GT3 cars. So these drivers have to be proficient in all sorts of type of racing: dirt oval, dirt road, asphalt oval to road course racing. So a lot of different types of styles of racing, of course, all 4 categories of iRacing being utilized, and 4 very, very, very different race cars. You know, you start off in a 410 wing sprint car, which a lot of people will tell you is not the easiest car to drive, especially when you're brand new to dirt oval. 900 horsepower to the tires, going around some of the best tracks in dirt oval racing. Then going to a Lucas Oil Pro 4 truck, which is not nearly as nimble, doesn't have the downforce, can beat and bang, and you're going over jump stops.
For sure.
Yeah, and you got a lot of softer suspension in those cars. Then, of course, the 87 NASCAR Cup car, an unrestricted engine, not nearly like today's NASCAR Cup car. Very difficult to drive on any sort of track. And then, of course, the GT3 car, probably being the simplest car to drive in this entire season. This is the easiest car, I would say, to drive around any racetrack that we have seen so far this season. So lots of different types of racing. Of course, XSLR, part of SMB, and being able to broadcast the races week in, week out. And we are wrapping this up next weekend around Bathurst. You know, we're coming to the conclusion of what's been a very exciting season. Of course, the way that Adam Thomsen started, got off to a massive points lead. But Jake Ham also became a title contender at the start of the season by winning 3 of the 4 410 wing sprint car races. But then Adam Thomsen came through in series number 2 in Lucas Oil in the Lucas Oil Pro 4 trucks, and was able to sweep. Oh, he didn't know he won 3 of the 4 there, and that's what gave him a pretty decent point lead. Heading into season 3, it was kind of up in the air what the points was going to fall out in. Jake Ham ended up sweeping series 3 by winning all 4 NASCAR 87 Cup car races around Charlotte, Talladega, Daytona, and Indianapolis. And that's where we ended up here in this series. Tight battles in going into series number 4, the championship up for grabs. And what has been a surprise storyline is that neither Adam Thomsen or Jake Ham have successfully won a GT3 race in this series. Now, tonight, neither of them are here. They should be back next week to finally battle out the championship. So that is going to be 1-1. Of course, Adam Thomsen and Jake Ham have both. Yep, Jake Ham was on the podium last weekend at Suzuka, and Adam Thomsen was on the podium at Road Atlanta, the start of series number 4 here in season 9 of XSLR. And that's where we are going to end up next week. As those two, it's going to be who's in front of who at that point. And right now, Jake Ham is in control of the points championship by 19 points, it looks. So really, Jake Ham has to show up and just not finish all that low. He needs to make sure he finishes very strong at Bathurst, but that's going to be a tough ask, especially around the mountain. So there's a recap of our points. Of course, we don't have the points loaded in from XSLR this week. We should have them next week. So join us. Make sure you all hit that subscribe button here tonight. Trying to get the 5,000 subscribers here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. Hit the notification bell so you know exactly when we go live, and we got plenty of racing action on its way. And also, if you haven't done so already, please hit that like button. That like button really pushes out on the YouTube algorithm that, hey, people love this. People like this kind of content, and it gets us moving up the list, especially with those who are doing the same sort of content we are. It just shows to YouTube that, hey, you like this content. We're going to show more of this content to people who like the same interest that you have as well. So thank you very much. If you do that for us, that would be amazing. Michelle Lynn sitting in 6th. There's Matt Lass in the Lamborghini, the solo Lamborghini, in 7th place, as we are now 4 laps to go around here. And we can't really wait to talk about what's coming up here at Slow Motion Broadcasting at the end of tonight's broadcast. Got some pretty awesome things upcoming here that you do not want to miss.
Yeah, we have a few special events coming up. We had one actually, I believe we've been kind of promoting it here on the 26th. Actually been moved to August now, just due to trying to get some practice and stuff for the drivers and for this big 3-hour event we're going to be putting on, and they wanted a little bit more time to practice and get the drivers together and stuff like that. So we will be back to getting some more information on that pretty soon. But you know, as you mentioned, they're not going to do it too much right now, but we are having a few series come back. AMS in a couple weeks is coming back. American Muscle Series going to be a great one this series. We'll touch on that at the end here as well. And ICS as well coming back. Looks like it might be changing nights, but they will be back for season 2 of some IndyCar action as well. So all kinds of things on the docket here, as well as our usual shows.
Of course, American Muscle Series. You know, the live streamer Matt Malone.
Yep.
It's always fun to watch him go around and try and battle in the American Muscle Series. Of course, that's if he can avoid the wrecks and avoid the carnage.
Yeah, it's a good one. Great series, that one for sure. And they're going to be doing, nobody's going to know what track it is until the very last minute all season long, except for the last track,
Mystery.
and they're going to actually do an oval. I believe they're doing Charlotte Oval for the. I don't know. Don't quote me on Charlotte, but I believe they are doing an oval. They're definitely doing an oval round this season as well. And last season was just action-packed. Some of the better driving I've seen in a while. It was some really, really good stuff all the way through the field there. Again, you have a series, that has there's a pretty good field of drivers, pretty good split of skill level and stuff too. So you're always fighting with somebody all the way through the pack.
Well, that's, the American Muscle Series has been a staple iRacing league for quite a while now. If you're somebody who knows iRacing and knows the leagues and stuff, that the American Muscle Series is one of the staple leagues in iRacing. Of course, it's, people like Moon Car and stuff. Those guys are up there as well. But the American Muscle Series, definitely very awesome to watch. Some awesome racing. If you can catch those, again, hit that subscribe button if you want to watch those races broadcasted live here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. 2 laps to go here around Phillip Island. Chad Gross, he is on a tear. He has closed the gap now to just less than 2 seconds. He's like, okay, I got 2 laps. I got to really push it hard here. And he's going to try everything in his wheelhouse, try and make it happen. But it's going to be very, very difficult because Derek Folk, I think he can turn it on at any point. I don't think Derek Folk's going 100%.
That's probably what's going on here. You can see the splits down at the bottom there, and he's 3/10 in one split, 1 full second in the next split, another 4/10, another 10th in the, these are laps, he's catching up by quite a bit there. And I would imagine that's just because there's no need for Derek Folk to be pushing the front end of that car anymore. He's only got another lap or 2 to go. Make him think he's gonna catch him, but you never know. He's putting on the pressure here, and all it takes is one little mistake now, and that'll be it.
Here we go. Ready for the final lap here. The white flag. Derek Folk. You'll see the white flag in one more time around here, around the 2.7 mile circuit, around Phillip Island circuit. Again, 1.5 seconds is the gap. Can Chad Gross get any closer? But time is running out because there's only one real corner he can pass at. And I think it's going to not work out for him unless he throws in an absolute dive bomb. Derek Folk, your current race leader, looking to go 3 in a row here at XSLR, which would be his first 3 wins of the season. Does he have 3 wins this year, or does he have 4? I swear there was one Pro 4 truck race I thought he may have won.
I believe it's 3. Quote me on that, but I think it's 3. I think Adam won most if not all of the Pro 4 races. We go back in the points a little bit. We've had a little bit of spotty points back and forth there. Doesn't really super matter. And I mean, obviously it matters in the series for sure, but we know who's taken the championship. We know who's taken sort of the wins in each car, and sort of who had the strength and weaknesses in each car. As we're coming around here on the last lap, final lap for Derek Folk's going to take the win fairly easily tonight from Chad Gross, just making not too many mistakes, I would say.
No, but perfect drive from Derek Folk as he wins 3 in a row here. Chad Gross will be in second. Brad Cathcart gets his first podium of the season here at XSLR. Tyler Brown will be kicking himself in that 4th spot. Andy Kosick, after losing a couple of positions, he will make it now back up to 5th. Michelle Lynn will take 6th, and Matt Lass, who is several seconds behind, in 7th here, but driving on his own in the lonely Lamborghini. We'll take
not getting
home.
that thing rotated tonight, I don't think. It looks like it's struggling a little bit in the Lamborghini tonight, I think, being the odd man out there as well. And the Ford, the sea of Fords just didn't really work out. Same thing with the Ferrari as well. Beautiful paint job, gorgeous car. Ended up cutting a bit of grass and bringing up the rear there, unfortunately, tonight.
Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I think we have finally almost got there.
Well, I think somebody has run out of fuel. Yep, looks like he's out of fuel, so he's going to be pushing him back to the pit here, which is always a nice thing to do. Especially when the leader's pushing second place back to the line there. Make sure he gets back around the track. I cut it pretty close today as well with fuel, but looks like he cut it extra close in the number 28.
And you can see a little bit of damage. Oh, now we're seeing the inside of the car.
Whoa.
All right.
Whoa. Whoa. There we go. A little bit of help around the track there. Make it back to the pit.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Have drivers appearing in the waiting room, in our interview waiting area. And of course, we'll talk to our top three here as soon as we get a moment here. And it looks like we'll talk to Derek Folk here first, our race winner, if Discord will be nice to me tonight. It is not being nice to me. There it is. I guess we're talking Brad Cathcart first. All right. Brad Cathcart, our third place finisher, first podium of the XSLR season number 9. Aussie, oi, oi, oi. You finally get on the podium, Brad.
I think I was a bit of a Bradbury. Everyone else crashed in front of me.
Well, it wasn't easy, though. You had to deal with some good competition, of course. Chad Gross being behind you, and you held him off in that first stint tonight. That had to be pretty fun.
First bit of a Chad was in front of me, I think. I can't remember.
Well, you got in front of him because you were in front of him when you went in the pit.
That's right. They had a little bit of a lose. No, it was just keeping my nose out of trouble.
Now, tell me, because I wasn't able to verify this prior. Have you seen this circuit in real life? Have you been to Phillip Island, sir?
I've been to Phillip Island. I haven't been to the track. I went to look at little penguins.
Little penguins. Only in Australia can you say that. Just saying.
No, they have a breeding ground on Phillip Island, so that's where you can go and have a look at them. But no, right. It was it was just a lot of just trying to do solid laps. Had a bit of practice yesterday at the Spa 24.
Yep, that was this weekend. Now, you being an Aussie, are you? I told Joshua I was going to do that. Are you an Australian cricket fan?
I don't mind a bit of cricket. It's a good way to waste a couple of days.
Well, I hate to break the bad news. It's not going well in the West Indies.
We can only talk about. No, we can talk about the first two tests, but maybe not the current one. I haven't watched it yet.
It's not going well. Yeah, let's just say that much. So maybe West Indies will pull out a win here. But Brad, who would you want to thank for finally getting you this podium here tonight?
There's a lot of people, mainly people in the slow motion racing team. We spend a fair bit of time practicing for enduros and team events, and they settled me down a bit, just working on consistency, and I think that's been a big part of trying to improve that. And I'd like to thank all the people that didn't show up today.
Well, Brad, you are the man tonight. You get a podium, and I'm so glad Chad Gross did not put a bumper to you. I think he would have been enemy number 1 tonight.
Yeah, I was really hoping the other two had used too much fuel, because I was pretty good with fuel after the pit stop, and they were coming back to me pretty quickly.
Well, congratulations, sir. We will see you next week for another famous Australian track, Bathurst.
I shall see you there. Thanks.
Yeah, have a good night. Brad Cathcart, our third place finisher. Well, since Discord decided that it wanted to choose its own way of doing interviews tonight, we'll talk to Chad Gross next. Here, Chad Gross in the broadcast booth, finishing second tonight. Chad, you almost became enemy number one by almost getting that rear bumper to Brad Cathcart early on in that race.
Oh yeah, got a little spicy out there. Admittedly, not my favorite track here at Phillip Island, but I'm glad the overcut there on the pit strategy helped me out, get a little bit of lead coming out of the pit stop. I think he somehow got a lot more fuel than me, and towards the end there, I was absolutely fuel saving. I had 11 seconds left coming over the finish line, so got super lucky on the timing, but really happy with the P2 finish tonight.
Yeah, very good. Now tell me, we were talking about this on the broadcast about how frustrating this track can be. Were you getting a little frustrated just being behind somebody and just not able to make a move?
Yeah, it definitely is, and I'm not sure what exactly which lap it happened, but I needed to write a really stern letter to Mr. Sim UCube. My pedals disconnected during the middle of the race, and going into big left-hander up in turn 2 or 3, whichever one that is, absolutely disconnected, went off into the grass, let everybody else catch up, and it was really unfortunate.
Well, a good second place podium tonight. Of course, next week, Bathurst, another famous Australian track. What are you looking forward to there?
I absolutely love Bathurst. I think it's probably my my second favorite track out of all things we do here at iRacing, so very much looking forward to that one. I know me and my teammate did really well at the Bathurst 12-hour, but it was absolutely pouring down rain, so looking forward to a little more competition here when it's all dry and seeing how well we do.
And of course, who would you like to thank for getting you this second place finish tonight?
I've gotten lucky and got on the podium a few times this year, and I'd like to give a big shout out to my girlfriend. She has been waiting for this moment for a little while for my next podium. Give her a big shout out. So thank you, Carly, for letting me play iRacing as much as I do and getting the win tonight. This one's for you.
Well, congratulations, Chad. We will see you next week from Bathurst.
All right, thank you all.
Chad Gross, our second place finisher. And finally, we get to talk to our race winner here, Derek Folk. 3 back-to-back wins in GT3. That's got to feel good, Derek.
Yeah, it does. Good day, mates. From down under. Yeah, it was a good race today. Yeah, it was fun driving the Mustang. I know we talked a couple weeks ago that it was a McLaren party, so it was time to switch it up a little bit, and the Mustangs proved very strong here today.
So the Mustangs taking over Australia this week. And of course, you just kind of controlled that race from start to finish. Talk about the end of the race. You had a 6-second gap at Chad Gross. Were you just going 100% or were you just backing off a little bit?
No, very much like Chad, I had a fuel issue. Race labs caused a little bit of concern as far as fuel information. So it looked like I was going to be shy. So I really was doing some big lift and coasting to make sure that I was able to get to the finish line. And thankfully I had plenty of extra fuel when we got there.
Well, who would you like to thank for getting you this third win in a row?
Absolutely. Big ups to the Zoot Lord Racing team, Georgia Liquor Barn, McFarland Wine and Spirits, and everyone here at XSLR. And thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, congratulations, Derek. Next week, Bathurst.
Definitely looking forward to it.
Definitely looking forward to it. Should be a good one, of course. Hopefully, no interference with our championship battle.
Absolutely not. Got to stay away from those guys. It'll be a heated battle for sure, and looking forward to seeing what happens.
Well, congratulations, Derek. We will see you next week from the mountain.
Thank you. Take care.
Derek Folk, our race winner. Well, Josh, that was not one of the most action-packed races that we have seen all season, but definitely one that really put in some strategy, thought, and everything here tonight. Well, of course, you can catch that race next Sunday at 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, I should say. But to remind yourself, that little subscribe button that's on the bottom of the window, just click on that. Just a nice little tap on that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and that way you are notified when we are live here from Bathurst here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Well, Derek Volk wins 3 in a row here on the final series here, and this was the penultimate round of the XSLR season number 9. Next week, we head to the most treacherous of racetracks, Mount Panorama. My name is Adam Thomsen. For Joshua, Wilkie, and everyone here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, we will say good night, and we'll see you next week from Bathurst.